Good evening and welcome to tonight's driver's ed class, the last night of content. So welcome and sign in like we normally do. I don't have my phone with me right now, so I cannot see who is signing in on the cell phone. So you're going to have to make sure your name is up here on the YouTube comments. Maybe I'll grab my phone a little bit later this evening. So we're going to wait for people to jump on in to let me know who is here. At least tonight's a little bit more bearable in this room that I'm in. I returned my cooling device, which did not work out the way that I was hoping. So I'm going to have to find another way to stay cool for the next class, because I've got one more class to teach remote and then I'm going in the classroom. So no more of this not doing worksheets and homework. I am going to force you to do it when you're in the classroom. While we wait for people to log on, and we only have a few here right now, so I'm going to wait just a little bit longer, because we are now getting into the last part of driver's ed, which is completing the classroom and then finishing up our driving and observation. So I just got to keep on harping to you that it's so important to do the things that I ask you to do so I can complete you. There's only going to be a handful that will be done by Tuesday, which is kind of unfortunate. The other thing is, where was everybody with handing in the textbook? I'm looking at the names over here, and only a handful of you have handed in your textbooks to me. I need your textbook. You need to hand that in tomorrow at 2:30 when school gets out, or maybe a little bit before school gets out if you can. I want you to, run downstairs into the lobby, say you got to go to the office. I need the textbook. Okay, very, very important, because I'm running out of textbooks for the new class. I had 11 people show up today. I've got a couple coming tomorrow and then some on Saturday. So I need the textbooks. So that's important. Oh, we're up to 18. So we're just about where we need to be. All right. Last night's class, we went through a lot of information. Make sure that you have taken good notes on that, because I can't stress enough how important doing well on the final next week, having taken good notes on last night's class, because a lot of people kind of waver off near the end of a program and they start, taking shoddy notes and not doing things. I asked for articles. I've only received a handful of articles from people with distracted driving. People did some good ones. Actually, someone actually has one article that I'm going to show tonight when we talk about distracted driving. But it's important for you to engage on the material that we're going over. It's going to help you remember things and remember concepts and techniques about driving that will hopefully serve you well once you go for the state for your licensing, and then hopefully after you get your license for years to come behind the wheel of the car. Techniques and attitudes behind driving are so important to make sure that you never get in a crash. All right. So once again, I'm going to say this multiple times. Please bring your textbook tomorrow at 2:30. I think most of the people from Dover that I have here have handed in their textbooks. I know there's 3 of you, so I'm trying to think. I think I've got them from all of you. So the Dover high school students are better than the Oyster River students, and you're at the high school. All right. So here are some of the articles coming in hot and heavy right now. Excuse me. Okay, so let me explain a few things since we almost have a full class right here. So this is what's going to happen tonight. We're going to cover really the last topic that I need to cover, which is distracted driving, which I think is probably the number one problem with all drivers, but it really goes right to the top for young drivers because you guys are so connected to technology, needing to post on TikTok and everything else, social media, Instagram, all that stuff, that you always feel like you have to have your phone out and be on it. Not that adults don't do it; they're more probably talking and texting than they are surfing the web and doing personal accounts and things like that. So we're going to talk about that for the majority of tonight. And then what I'm going to do is you have to go to the Facebook page. I have put together, I believe I think it's around 100 questions. Maybe it's 80 to 100 questions dealing with the state manual. Important questions for you to know for the final for next week. So this is what I want you to do at the end of what we're going to cover tonight, which isn't going to be too long. We're not going to be here for the whole allotted amount of time. I want you to go to the Facebook page, click on the YouTube link, and then watch the review questions. I want you to get a blank piece of paper, and I want you to try to answer the questions, and then I will give you the answer after. So what happens is I read the question, and then I give you the answer about 5 or 6 seconds later. So what I want you to do is hit play. It'll pop up a question. I will read it, then hit pause. Think about what the answer is, then hit play again, and then I give you the answer about 5, 6 seconds later. All right? So I take you through all the different topics that we've gone over. This is a good way to study. If you don't have flashcards, if you haven't taken good notes, reviewing this video over and over so you know your numbers, you know your techniques of how to do certain things, putting yourself in certain situations, I think you're going to do okay on the final. I will talk about the final at the end of tonight's class, but to let you know, it's next Tuesday. It's going to start earlier than 7:30. It is not going to be at 7:30. It's going to be at 6:30. It's going to be an hour earlier. All right? And I'm only going to come online like I am right now for about 10 minutes at 6:30. I'm going to explain things, and then I'm going to click off. And I am going to wait for people to text me to ask for a copy of the final. I will text you a link. I'm not going to put it on the Facebook page. So if you're not online at 6:30, to know that we're going to do it, then you're just not going to do your final. Okay? Because I see that there are some people missing right now. So you're going to be texting me on Monday at 6:30 after I do my 10-minute spiel, and then I'm going to send you a link to the final with the password to get you in. Once you're finished with that, then we just have to finish our driving. When it comes to driving, like I said, I have openings all day for Saturday. Okay, Saturday is wide open, so anybody that wants to drive, and I will do doubles. If people want to drive a double, 2 hours, I will drive a double. So that's going to be how we're going to do it. And then next week, once we go half days, you guys get top priority for next week. But after next week, the new class gets top priority for drive times. All right? So once school is all out, they get top priority. All right, so it looks like we've got everybody here, at least for the most part. So let's pop right into tonight's topic about distracted driving. Now, texting is really only one form of distracted driving. There are many other types of forms. So what I want you to do is get out a blank piece of paper, and I want to kind of explain things. And hopefully, if you take a look at what we covered tonight, it hopefully will make some sense to you to realize that maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, all right? So the definition of distracted driving is any activity that takes your attention away from driving, even for an instant. So when we think about multitasking, a lot of people think we're not distracted. We're just trying to be more efficient with our time. So I want you to think about being efficient with your time. If you take a look at driving and we think about, a percentage, how much do you want to take away from 100% to do something else? Do you want to take 10% away, 20%, 25%? Could you actually drive with 60% of your focus on driving and maybe 30 or 40% on doing something else in the car? I really don't think that you want to do that. I really think that you've got to give your full attention. I will just tell you that I try not to go to my cell phone too much when I'm in the car with you, when I'm instructing, but I will tell you it without fail. If I have to check a message or check an email, and I think that it's a safe place for me to look down at my phone while you're driving, and I think you're a decent driver, what always happens is that maybe an animal comes out in front of us or a light changes from red to yellow and you don't know whether you should stop or go. A car pulls out or you hit a pothole. Even when I'm instructing, I really don't feel comfortable looking at my phone that often. I try not to. I have to sometimes because of things coming in where people don't realize. It's funny how people call me, and I had a few people drive today, and we had a few people call us while we were driving. And I try not to talk while you're driving, but I think people think I have an office, and I sit in my office, and I just feel phone calls. People don't realize that I'm driving 6 to 8 to 9 hours a day. Okay, so it's kind of hard to get back to people. So sometimes I have to pick up. Now, this video was given to me by Q. It is a little bit violent, so if you don't like seeing, and by the way, it's not real. It's a commercial. It was made over in England, I believe, or Wales. But we do see a car crash, and we do see people kind of messed up after the crash. So if that really, the gore gets to you, you can kind of look away and we'll discuss things afterwards. But I wanted to show you this because I want to break it down into a few things and relate it to what we've basically gone over during the driver's ed program. So we're going to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about crashes and airbags. So let me show it to you first, and then we'll break it down.
Hi, Jane. My mate Jules fancies you. Huh? It's not even funny now. Let me just get his number.
Bring an ambulance! Bring an ambulance! Stay still! I can't open the door. I've rung an ambulance.
We've got other people on the route to help, okay?
Please, look straight at me for a second.
3 vehicles have been involved.
Right.
2 people in the vehicle there. I can't get any response out of them
They're the ones in the front or the ones in the back?
Mommy, Daddy, wake up! Mommy, Daddy, wake up!
Front, I just can't get any response whatsoever.
I want Mommy and Daddy to wake up.
Any pain in your neck at all? You're nice and still for me. Alright, keep looking at me. Alright. Cassie, Cassie, can you hear me? What's your friend's name in the back? What is it? Jules, is it? No, she's still there for me.
Okay, what we're going to take a look at is that let's kind of break down the crash. How many people do you think passed away in that crash? So, what I want you to do on the YouTube comments to put down the number of people that you feel didn't make it, that lost their life in that crash, and we'll get back to that in a moment. At the beginning of the video, it showed a car of females that were driving, and think about it. They were looking at a phone where text messages were coming in and they were sending it out. Did you notice that all of them were looking at the phone? Doesn't it beg the question, why doesn't the driver just drive and the passengers, respond to the text message or to read the text message? It kind of struck me as, why is everyone so involved with the phone? And you can tell it's kind of an old phone, right? It was like a flip phone. It wasn't a typical phone that you can actually talk and text. It was something that you had to manipulate. We're going to talk about hands and eyes and ears and how distraction can come in different forms. The other thing that I took away from the video is that what happens when you hit another vehicle in regards to your airbag? Didn't we learn in class that your airbag comes out once and it has to be at speeds above 15 miles per hour? So once you veer off and hit that one car and you spin around, the next thing that you hit, you don't have the benefit of the airbag. And was everybody in that car in a seatbelt? No. All right. So we start to see where, if we were to pick apart and point out where the errors and what was happening, we can see where all these problems are starting to arise. The other thing too, first car they hit, I believe it was an older couple. Now, we talked about how everyone's different. We talked about physical, mental conditions, right? Will an old person be able to react maybe as quickly with their steering and their braking as a young person? Probably not. So they didn't even have a chance. Once the car started to veer off to the center or towards the center of the road, the older couple probably didn't have the skill to handle that. I didn't hear a horn. In the whole video, no one beeped a horn. And then the last car that was hit, okay, a family. I believe there was 4 people in the car. I believe the only person that made it was the toddler that was asking, what about mommy? Where about daddy? I think everybody else, the baby in the car seat and the parents, I don't think that they made it. I don't think the elderly people made it. I see everybody's answers here, and I think you're pretty spot on with at least 4, maybe 5 people. But I think in the girls' car, there was 2. I think the elderly people, there was 2. And then I think that there was 3 in the other. So I actually think there was 7. I think there was 7, maybe 6. Now, at the, one thing besides that, what do you think the cost of that crash? Let's say the older couple did live, okay? So the number goes down in the people that died. But what do you think it would have cost for medical payments, for cost of funerals, cost of repairing cars? That your insurance would be maxed out. You would not have coverage that would probably cover all the damage that you did in that one crash, all because you were texting to your friends. Does it seem senseless? I hope so. I hope so. I cannot think of a reason why you're moving and on your phone. I can't think of a reason. I mean, texting. Okay, now we have Bluetooth. That's a little bit different. We can always debate that. And the last thing is that when the video went dark and it showed her on the stretcher, it showed her with her eyes open and then her eyes closed. Now, I took it two different ways. I took it as I think she's closing her eyes because she wants to forget what just happened. She's trying to close her eyes and hope that it's a dream. Some people, when we have class, they look at it, she's closing her eyes because that's the final chapter. She's going to lose her life. That she's just reliving what we just saw in her mind, and now she realizes she'd rather be gone than to live with the damage that she's done. So things like this should start to make you think about the consequences of texting and driving, because most people think it's okay. I mean, we see it on almost a daily basis. Oh, George, you're way low on 100,000. You're looking at, if there's 4 people passing away, you're suing the insurance company. It's well over $500,000. Well over $500,000 is what the damages are going to be. So let's kind of break things down a little bit. And I'm not going to get into the numbers so much, but I want you to write down these 4 types of distractions. I want you to come away from tonight's class realizing that in order to drive safely, that you need all aspects of your senses. You need your ears, you need your eyes, you need your hands. You need 100% of all these physical capabilities. So first one I want you to write down is cognitive. This is distraction of thought and concentration. So even when you've got a passenger in the car and someone is asking you a question, you're thinking about how to respond, giving them an answer, you may start missing signs. Remember the term that we had earlier in class where it's change blindness or inattention blindness? Okay, that's what's going to happen. When you start thinking about something that someone's asking you, you're going to start missing some of the obvious things like traffic lights and stop signs. Auditory, using your ears. So think about it. You're listening to someone ask a question, then you're thinking about the question. You've got layers of distraction. Using your eyes, looking at your phone, and using your hands to manipulate the phone, all forms of distraction. So from texting to talking on the phone, using the radio or setting up your phone to play certain music that you've got on Spotify, eating, grooming, passage in the car, all these are distractions, and we have to limit them the best that we possibly can. Now, remember with passengers, after you get your license, you can only have one non-relative for the first 6 months. Okay, and remember your curfew is between 1 and 5. And here's the percentages. Definitely at the top, texting while driving. Then comes reading. Then think about makeup would be a distraction. You're not focusing on the road. You're focusing on looking at your face, dialing a handheld device, handling a CD, eating, listening, or talking to handheld devices, all forms of distraction. All states now, and this is an old map of the United States, but all of them, it's all greened in now. Okay, there is no partial, there is no ban. Every single state, it's proud to say, has some form of law concerning texting and driving. I didn't have this video loaded tonight, but I do want you to write write down in your notes is that texting and driving or being distracted is as bad as drinking and driving. Meaning is that you have a tendency to drift out of your lane. You have no control of your speed. You're missing signs. So you look, it's almost like fatigue. Fatigue and drunk driving and distractions, they're all grouped together on behavior-wise. What is happening to the vehicle from afar when you're looking at a vehicle. Oh, I do have this one. Just because you think, we said multitasking, just because you think you have a talent doesn't mean that you should do it. Watch this guy. This is unbelievable. You can just basically tell by the way he's leaning back that he's not really operating the motorcycle in a safe manner. But what is he actually doing?
What the fuck? Look at him, man. He's on his phone. He's texting.
Here's a motorcycle rider
Go on his side.
with no hands on the handlebar. His feet are not on
He's just
the pedals
chilling.
to shift. He's just balancing.
Hey, what if you say? That's crazy, dude.
Now he's talking on his phone. And he's lane splitting.
Dude, this is unbelievable.
If a car brakes, started to brake real quick, there's no
doing
way
it
that
all,
he's going to be
bro.
able to handle that.
Yo, what?
So just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. And you can see, look how close that car is in that picture. I would not be surprised if he fell off his bike. Okay, a couple of things I do want you to write down here is the first two bullets. I want you to write down that the number one killer of teens in America is being distracted as a driver. It has overtaken drug overdoses, suicides, and physical medical conditions like cancer and things like that. It's the number one cause of death for teens. The other thing I want you to write down is 5 seconds. Most drivers feel comfortable looking away from the front of their car up to 5 seconds. Once they hit around 4 or 5 seconds, they usually look forward up over the dashboard to get their bearings again, and then they look back down on their phone. So at 55 miles per hour, that's enough time to drive the length of a football field, 360 feet. That's a long distance, but that's what the average driver will look down. And I think most of you, I put this up as a question. Let's see if you'll answer this question. How many of you have been in a vehicle when somebody, not a parent, I don't want you to throw your parents under the bus, but how many of you have been in a vehicle with a teenager, one of your classmates, who has been texting and driving? Let's see how many people will be willing to admit that they've been in a car. And if you have been, why didn't you scream and holler and tell them to get off the phone? Okay? It's your life too. They're definitely not a better driver looking at their phone, but how many of you are willing to admit? So just put down yes or no in the comments that you've been in a car with somebody that's been texting and driving. So 6 out of 10 teen crashes involve distraction. So it's a very high percentage. And here they give you percentage, the most common forms: interacting with other passengers, using a cell phone, looking at something inside the vehicle, like maybe the radio, looking off to the side could be a distraction, singing and not paying attention. We talked auditory, grooming, reaching for an object. All these things that you feel, I'm a decent driver, I can start doing some of these things while I'm driving. And some of you are going to start to say, I'm going to do them in low-risk areas like straightaways or when I'm only going 30 miles per hour. You're playing with fire. It's going to catch up with you. I'm not going to go through the percentages because I'm not going to really test you on that. This I do want you to take a look at. Okay? Here's a chart. 2014, just under 3,000 deaths in the United States. Then in 2015, it spiked. It almost went up to 3,500. Look at all the people that have been in cars that have had people texting. Then in 2016, it goes down slightly. Then in 2017, it really takes a drop. And then in 2018, it bumps back up. I want someone on the comments here, give me an idea of why do you think we had a spike in 2015? Let's see how many people can figure this one out. So let's see who comes up with a good answer. Why did we spike in numbers in 2015 and 2016? And then why did it go down? Because notice it was pretty, neck and neck. 2015 and 2016, there's not much difference. But I'll go back to that in a moment. So what happens when people are distracted? Basically, leaving the road is way, way up. 89%. 76% rear end crashes. Angle, 51%. Loss of control, 40%. So what they're saying is that if a car went past off to the side of the road, 89% of the time they were distracted. If they were rear-ended. Now, why would someone be rear-ended other than being distracted? Going too fast? Bad brakes? Why would you hit something at an angle? You just aren't a very good driver, maybe intoxicated, maybe a medical condition. I'm going to wait on this. I'm not quite sure I'm going to show this. This is an AT&T video about it can wait. It's basically telling you is that when your phone lights up, starts to buzz, or your phone call comes in, you don't have to, feel like you have to respond right then. Because most of the time, anything that's coming in through your phone, it's really not that important. If we took a look, and I think that's probably one of the, let me go through this. If I show the video at the end, I will, but I want to get to this. Oh, here we go. So if everyone got out their phone, and we're not going to do this right now, but I want you to look at your phone. And if you looked at the last message that you either sent or came in, if you were honest, I think all of you would say, I could have waited 15 minutes to read this. I could have waited 15 minutes to send this. There is nothing that's coming in through our phone, whether it be emails, text messages, or a telephone call, that we couldn't deal with after about 15 minutes. Now, the reason why I say around 15 minutes, Zoe is correct. Very good. And George got it too. Very good. You guys are smart. Okay, that's the reason why we had a uptick in 2015 and 16. Now, let's see who can come up with why did we have this sudden drop in 2017? And then it went up a little bit in 18. Let's see if you can figure that one out. Yep, Cooper got it too. Yep. The minute we had better phones and we could do multiple things with it, everybody wanted to do it. And they were doing it while they were driving. But this is what was happening. This is a good picture. This is a picture of someone that hit one of those old guardrails. And I will probably tell you with certainty that I don't believe the driver probably made it. So do you think the person wishes that they would have done things differently? Absolutely. And what could they have done differently? They could have pulled over to the side of the road in a safe place and dealt with the text message. Think about how much time would it take to find a driveway, a parking lot, someplace safe, look at your phone, respond to it, put your signal on, look in your mirror, look over your shoulder, get back into traffic. A minute? That would be long. Most text messages you get out in under 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So to read it and respond to it, it's well under a minute. Why do we feel we've got to do it while we're moving? It makes no sense. The consequences are so great. You don't want any of these things to happen to you. And I forgot who the person, it might have been Bradley. I think Bradley's the one that sent me this. And I had this, Bradley, 2 years ago in this PowerPoint. And let me just explain what this story. This was the story that Bradley sent to me. This girl survived texting and driving. Luckily, she made it alive, made it out alive. And wouldn't you think that she would learn from her lesson? That I will never text and drive again. I can't believe that I was involved in a serious crash. This story explains a year to the day that she had her first texting and driving crash. She did it again, but this time she lost her life. How could you survive texting and driving, having a miracle of surviving and not learn your lesson? And to be doing it on your anniversary of the day that it happened. My heart just aches and breaks for her family. They had to live through it once, and now they're living through it a second time, but now with a finality. That day, I'm sure they're going to want to rip it out of the calendar because it's just brought them so much pain and suffering. Let me show you what's happening in Massachusetts.
His attention was distracted for over a minute in traffic on Route 93. He would go about 5 feet, and his attention would go right back to the PDA, and he would just continue texting, hands off the wheel, and drive another 2 feet. There was also a time where traffic had moved ahead, 5, 6 cars had passed him, and he just remained motionless because his attention was just drawn to the phone. So based on that, he was issued the monetary fine.
Well, today's enforcement focused on the brand new law that took effect at midnight last night, which is going to be texting while driving, using a PDA of any kind while driving, and the junior operator law of using a cell phone while driving. Overall, the state police are concerned more about distracted drivers and impeded operation. And impeded operation covers a lot of things besides the texting, besides the use of the PDA, such as eating while driving, reading directions while driving, and anything that's going to take your attention away from the roadway. Wearing headphones while driving, also illegal in Massachusetts.
It's a written warning, okay? Just pay more attention to the roadway, all right? Okay.
I think it's going to affect a lot of people. I mean, the signs I saw said, you know, teens texting, you know, so I go, I don't text, but I got this thing all the time, and so somebody's going to nail me, and I know it. Every time I get an order for a pickup, it comes through, and I have to look at it in order to see what it is. Mainly, I look to see the name. You know, I will look at it when I'm driving. You know, I'm going to have to.
Be it a verbal warning, be it a written warning, being a monetary fine, every part of that is education.
Okay, notice he went through exactly what we talked about. When the police stop you, they have 3 options: verbal, written, or a monetary fine. Okay, when this law actually changed, and Bradley's the one that brought it up here in the comments, when we had an uptick in 2015 and 16, that's when the new phones came out. Everybody was using their phone when they're driving. Well, guess what? It took lawmakers about a year or two to actually say, we can't have this happen, so we're going to change laws. And when we change laws, like you just saw in the video, people go, I don't want to get caught. I don't want my insurance rates to go up. I don't want to pay a fine. So then all of a sudden, we see the death rate go down. People start putting the phone away. They start putting into practice what we've got on the screen right now, what to do to make the situation better. Now, like most things in life, we get a little bit scared. We change our behavior. And then a year goes by and we go, I don't think they're enforcing it that much anymore. And then people start bringing out their phone, looking at it, and then you start seeing the numbers starting to creep up. So the last graph that we had from, I think it was 2018, it started to creep back up again. And I've got to get more current data. It's really kind of hard to get data from the DMV. So I have to go Google it and get almost national data. But we are seeing increases. So we have to double down. And by the way, as you saw in the video, If an officer sees you with your phone up near your steering wheel, and you say, "Oh no, officer, I wasn't doing anything, or I was doing my playlist or whatever," remember that's still illegal. You can't be doing your playlist. You're not supposed to be manipulating any part of your cell phone. And remember that if there is a crash, they can subpoena your phone records, and they can actually find out on the day that they stopped you. Okay, when were you on your phone? If it's close to the time that they're writing out a ticket or responding to a crash, they can tell that you were on your cell phone. So don't think you're going to lie your way out of it. So what can you do? Turn off your phone while you're driving, so you're not going to get distracted by the buzzing, by the light, by the ringing of the cell that's telling you to pick it up. Make sure you can't reach it. Okay, you can hear it. You can hear it go off. And with some of you, when we drive, your phone goes off. It doesn't bother me in the least. What would bother me is if you tried to pull it out of your pocket and turn it off, or to, I wouldn't let you look at it, but for you to try to deal with it, just let it go. We'll be in a parking lot soon because we do a lot of parking. We'll turn it off and deal with it then. Maybe you can, I'll even let you check it and respond to it. That's the safe thing to do. If it comes to music, look for a playlist that you're happy with, and go with that. A lot of times people think that they've got to text people that they're running late. So if you just organize your time better, you won't be late. You won't have to text people. Here's the big one. Pull over. If you really feel you just got to do it, be smart. Just can't be on the main portion of the road. You can't be on the paved portion of the road. You've got to be parking lots, driveways, rest areas, soft shoulder, but not on the pavement. Can't do it at stop signs. Can't do it at traffic lights. A lot of people say, well, it's safe for me to do it while I'm stopped. Well, if that, I mean, physically and logically, that's correct. But the way the law is written is that you cannot be on the pavement and on your cell phone, because what's happening, as you saw in the video, people are at traffic lights and the light changes and they don't know the light's changed. Or you're at a stop sign and you're not moving and somebody wants to go behind you. So that's why they're saying you shouldn't be doing it even when you think you're stopped and it's safe to do it. And lastly, it's just something that you're going to have to tell yourself, you know, this is a smart thing for me to do, is just wait till I get someplace to watch it, see my messages and respond. They're using radar sometimes to figure out if people are on phones, and what they're doing in some places, they're actually getting up in tractor trailers, and notice they can look down. They're in an upward position right here. So they're just kind of driving the roadway, and their radio up ahead telling police officers, okay, there's a van that's brown in front of us, and we can tell that they're on the cell phone. So pull them over. So they're looking. They're trying to catch you. And I think this is Tennessee. Yeah, it's Tennessee. This is the law. I'm not going to test you on the fine schedule, but you may want to write it down so you know it. First offense, they're going to charge you $100. Second offense, $250. Third offense within 2 years is a $500 fine. The bottom bullet is your concern. Teen drivers under the age of 18 will not be allowed to use any electronic devices, handheld or not. So they're talking about GPS here, except to report an emergency. So you can only call 911. Up above the law is basically for adults. Same thing. Can't use tablets, iPods, iPads. Bluetooth is allowed, but you can't use one hand with your cell phone up to your ear. That's illegal. I don't need you to know that. Okay. So that I don't think I'm going to show the AT&T video, but I'm going to put this up here. Hold on a second. I want to type this in so it comes up on the screen. There we go. So this is what I want you to write down, okay? The final is this Monday at 6:30, okay? 6:30, not 7:30, because, oh, it's not Monday. I'm sorry. I got to scrap that. Let me change that. It's Tuesday. Now I've got it right. There we go. Tuesday at 6:30, because the new class is starting at 7:30. So I cannot be answering your questions, and most of you should be done in about an hour. So you come on at 6:30, like I am right now. I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes, probably, maybe 10, if that. So be here promptly, and then you're going to text me that you're ready for the final. I will send you a link. So you text me. I'll have my phone with me. I'll send you a link. I'll send you the password, and you're ready to go. Within that hour, 6:30 to 7:30, I will be able to take text messages if you got questions. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be multiple choice. It covers the whole state manual. Some of the notes that we had on the state curriculum, like HTS, things like that. May have a couple questions on videos that we've seen. Maybe a couple questions that were more specific to the textbook, but pretty heavy on the state manual. So reread the state manual, and I'll see if I can share the screen right now. Hold on a second. Let's see if this works. Yeah, let's see if I can, if this will work. No, it's not. Oh, it did. That just showed up what I had on my screen beforehand. Go to Facebook, to the remote Facebook page. What I want you to do with the remainder of the time, this should take you about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. Get a blank piece of paper. I want you to answer the questions. It's review questions on things that we've covered, and I want you to let me know what you got for a score. All right? So please do the YouTube questions and tell me what you got for a score. It gives me some idea of what I can expect you to score out on Tuesday. So if you do fairly well, I'll have good confidence that you're going to do well on Tuesday. If you don't do well, then we can focus on maybe telling you what you need to really change to do much better with. So I am going to get out of this right now. Oh. Back to the camera. All right. So if you got any questions about the YouTube review questions, just let me know. I was trying to put it up and put it on the screen. You know what? I can do that. Hold on. There we go. That's what I want. There we go. Here we go. That's what I want. There, I just posted it right here. Here are some review questions for you to do tonight. I would stop and pause the video to answer the questions, and then check your answers with what I give you as correct answers. So if you go to our remote page, whoop, that's kind of, let me get this out of here. There you go. There's the remote, okay? Toll Driving School, remote driver's ed class. That's going to allow you to do these questions from the state manual and class. So that's what I want you to do with the remainder of tonight's time. Text me when you are able to drive on Saturday, and I'll try to schedule some of you so we can get closer to being done. If not, then we'll pick things up next week on Tuesday or Wednesday and go from there. But I need your textbooks tomorrow at 2:30. If you can't get them to me, let me know that you can't, and then I'm going to have to try to figure out how we're going to get them. I know it's a lot of stuff going on, but we've got to finish strong. So text me in the next 5 minutes about Saturday. And so Saturday's all I've got. Okay, Saturday's all I've got for this weekend. Monday's pretty much booked up, I think. Then Tuesday's probably wide open. And then Wednesday, you guys get out early and we can go from there. But Saturday, I want to book out. I want to drive at least 9 hours on Saturday. So let me know who can drive on Saturday. And please do these questions. So go to the Facebook page right now and do that after you text me your availability. All right? So that's it for tonight. Have a good night, and we will see you, some of you, on Tuesday, right before the final. Okay? And schedule driving. It's your responsibility now. It's not mine. I'm not going to be chasing you. All right, that's it.